Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. So Knife Detector started an open tag on ugly knives, and he actually called me out at the end of that saying, do I have any ugly knives? Well, yeah, this could be a very quick video, or it could be a very long video. I'll probably go with a very long video. But if I wanted to do a very quick video on ugly knives, I could just do this and call it a day. Yep, right there. Mora. Mora knives have got to be some of the most god-awful, ugliest knives on the planet, in my opinion. I have a total of 3 Mora knives. This is the last one I got. I actually won it on National Knife Day from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I might have been the only person who bothered to say anything like, oh yeah, give me that Mora knife, or put in the magic word, because they came up with the winner on YouTube so quickly it was crazy. And well, there you have the knife. Now I'm sure somebody is out there going, I don't think it looks that bad. I think it looks pretty good. Well, yeah, maybe it does to you. To me, it's kind of ugly. Came with a hard plastic sheath that has been kind of put out in that Puko style with all sorts of cool looking stuff on there. I actually like the sheath better than the knife. Does have the drain hole on the bottom there. You got the little piece of leather there. That's the only piece of leather going on for it. Mora Nave made in Sweden, or Mora Neve made in Sweden, something like that. And I'm not talking about, is it a quality knife or is it a great knife for the price? Yeah, it's a great knife for the price. It's going to do what you want the knife to do. Everyone swears by how well they slice and dice and everything else. I bet you with the blade thickness on this thing, it would be able to definitely be able to be baton. It's got like, it feels like it's got that 90-degree edge. So if you wanted to hit it with a ferro rod, you might be able to do that, you know, if you're one of those kind of people. Probably be a great knife in the kitchen, you know, nice and sturdy and everything. And the cutting ability of these knives is quite up there. To me, though, they are just ugly. And like I said, this is the best looking Mora knife I've seen. Most of them are much uglier than this. So when it comes to ugly, Mora definitely has a they've got their own little niche going out there. For some people, they're so ugly they're beautiful, I guess. To me, they're ugly. Like I said, I have never bought one. I won one. Well, one of them I technically did buy because I was doing that whole Smoky Mountain Knife Works subscriber box thing that they were doing about a year or two ago, and they threw in a big old Mora knife in that, you know, a $12 Mora knife in the subscriber box. So I've got one there. That was the last subscriber box I bought, by the way, because like I'm fed up with this. This is not what I'm looking for in a knife. So, and another one was gifted to me, and that was one with a hacking blade on it, which is really good for cleaning out glazing on windows and stuff. So very practical, very functional, just ugly. That's all I'm saying. Mora knives are ugly. You might love them. They work great, but they're ugly. Next up, my Bear & Sons Scout Knife. And whatever Bear & Son decided to use for their faux stag made out of plastic, this stuff is just god awful ugly, in my opinion. The only people who do worse is the Staglon that Schrade used to use. Man, that stuff, that disgusting, nasty looking yellow crap that they tried to pass off as stag. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people who love this stuff, but to me, it is just nasty, ugly, especially when you compare it to like the Camilla's Durastag. I think this looks a whole lot better. It looks more like actual stag because, well, the mold is based off of an actual piece of stag. I don't know how they came about this mold. Even this one here, this is Richards, an old Richards out of England, and that stag looks so much better than here. And what's really odd is now here is the Bear & Son Sharpfinger. But now what I believe they're doing is this is after the fall of Camilla's, and Bear MGC basically got a hold of a lot of the old Camilla's stock, and so now they're using the Camilla's Durastag here for the handle on this, and even that looks better than this. And I got to tell you, this looks better than the old Staglon that Schrade used to use. I would show you some of the old Schrade Staglon, but quite frankly, I just never bought it because I would look at it and think, man, that stuff could gag a maggot. But then they did come out with the second generation, or the new generation of Staglon, and I tell you what, this looks a heck of a lot better than the old Schrade Staglon. So thank you, Schrade, for finally getting around to joining the 21st century and producing a halfway decent looking piece of Staglon. I'm going to clear these out of the way, but Mora, you get to stay because you are my first ugly knife. And I'm going to continue to pick on Schrade, this time in the old timer lineup, and this is their saw cut dog turd. I hate the way this looks. If the coloring just looks really just nasty. I don't know where they came up with the idea. I don't like it. I know some people say, well, it fades and it changes over time. Maybe it does, but you know what? It's got to look good to begin with, as far as I'm concerned, before I'm going to go ahead and buy a bunch of it. As you notice, the two that I do have, well, I don't even have the Schrade in the old Staglon. The two I do have here are camp knives, and it's because I buy camp knives. Now, if Old Timer comes out with the saw cut dog turd and a large toothpick, I will pick it up. Same with the Staglon, old Staglon 5-inch toothpick, I would pick it up, but that's because of the pattern, not because I like this handle cover. These handle covers are just ugly to me. There, I said it again. I know these are some covers that a lot of people really like, but like I said, to me, this is the saw cut dog turd, and I don't really collect dog turd knives. And here's another knife. This was not the original sheath. The sheath is long gone. It was even uglier than the knife, and it didn't even fit the knife. As you can see there, it's a buck. This is a buck that was made in China, and the sheath that came with it was large enough to fit a blade that was about 6 inches long. For the record, so you can see here, this blade is about 4 inches long, and this knife to me is just ugly. And the biggest reason it is so ugly is this rubber handle. It just looks nasty. It looks, I don't like the way this looks at all. It was a $20 knife. What's the pattern number here? I doubt you'll find it anywhere. It was the $4.79, a buck $4.79. It costs about $18, I think, $18, $20, somewhere around there. But I got to tell you, it feels good in the hand. It came really sharp. It's out of China. At the time, they said it was using 420 high carbon steel. Again, a very functional knife, just ugly in my opinion. And that is something that really is one of those things that just does not appeal to me. I've got other knives with this kind of rubberized black grip, and I look at these handles and it's like, man, that's nasty. I don't like the looks of it. And does it mean the knife is not good, not functional? No, it's a great knife. It works great, feels good in the hand. It's just one of those knives that once you get it in your hand and you don't have to look at the handle anymore, I like it a lot more. But looking at the handle, it's like, could you have done something to make it look a little appealing at least? Because this thing is ugly. But then again, $18, what do you expect? So, ugly knife. Anyway, let me get that one out of the way. And as you can tell, what I'm talking about mostly is just everything cosmetic on knives that just makes them ugly. This is not about functionality or anything like that. But I have mentioned many a times that what draws a person to a knife is the way it looks, and then everything else kind of falls into place, unless you know the reputation of the brand and stuff. So if you know Mora knives are really good knives, and you've had really great success with Mora knives, then you look past the way it looks right away. But let's move on now to something else, and this is chip away cutlery, and it's a little upswept Skinner. This was not the knife I had ordered. This is the knife that Frost sent me, and well, talk about ugly. Well, look at that. Ooh, it's got snap-on pieces of bone here, but that's really what I wanted to talk about. Not so much that the bone was loose. That could you at least make some type of attempt to actually do some decent jigging on a bone handle if you're going to jig it and torch it? What was the purpose of these cuts in here? What are you trying to fake it being? You know, this would have been much better if it would have just been plain old white smooth bone, or if you'd have just torched it and also glued on the piece of bone there. That's Hey, it's like it's a little fidget feature that they added to the knife, that you have a piece of loose bone so you can fidget it and push it back in place. The knife itself would work okay, I guess. It's 440A stainless steel. It's got a decent enough cutting edge on it. I have cut with it before, but it's an ugly knife, so because the handle is ugly. Speaking of ugly, here's another one that is really butt ugly. What the heck were they thinking when they cut this bone? What is this supposed to be? The bone edge. I don't know if this is a Frost brand or Bud K or who. Big old fat handle. The knife itself, I don't know how I even came about this knife. You see all that stuff there that looks like it's tape or something? No, that's actually where the edge, the whatever finish, has just been scarred up and everything. You'd have to basically repolish the entire blade. And I'm talking about totally, getting out the buffer and everything else to get this knife looking better. But even if you shined up the blade, what's the point? Because the handle is so god-awful ugly on it. And again, the best thing on this is probably the leather sheath. I think this was made in Pakistan. I don't know, but it's like somebody over there is like, ooh, let's just cut some grooves in the handle here. We can say it's, for better grip or something. And it's not. It's just ugly. It's just ugly. Anyway, let's move on to some other ugly knives. This one's going to surprise a few people, but I really do think these are ugly. And that's these old Japanese Hobo knives. And yeah, the one that is featured on my channel quite often. at the beginning and everything. But you look at the bone on that. I don't know what they were doing there with the cross cutting and everything. I guess some people like it, but these things are, they're everything about these knives is very crude, very crude. The fork and the spoon are stainless steel. All the other tools are some kind of carbon steel, so they rust. And come on. Let's see the main blade here. Let's close this up. Get the main blade out. The shape of the blades is not what I would call appealing. Never, all of them, they're made by numerous companies, but none of the blades really seem to be really, they're just crude. They function, they work pretty good. This one, I mean, is a really good size, but it's got a lot of weight to it, a lot of heft. They're just kind of crude. They're not going to win a beauty pageant, especially with the bone that is used on here, at least in my opinion. But the crudeness and the I don't know. There's something about them that make them appealing in their ugliness, and so I like them. But I will be the first one to admit that these are ugly knives. And now for my last ugly knife, it's not this one, but this is what it was supposed to be. The Fisherman's Luck. This is an old Camillus knife. This one is definitely not the ugly version. But I wanted to show you what it's supposed to look like and what it looks like now. So this is the original knife. This is the way these knives looked when they came out of the factory. The one I've actually did a lot of work to get it to where it is now. I did a video on this knife a year or two ago. This is not the way it first showed up at my doorstep. I knew what I was buying when I got it. It was a knife that had basically been left in a tackle box. Now, like I said, it started off as a knife like this when it was first out of the factory. However, it had been left in a tackle box. It was completely covered in rust. The blade could barely be open, and the handles, the covers, the yellow Delrin covers on it, there were about 2 pieces of Delrin on one side and very little on the other side. So I had to remove what little bits of Delrin that were on there. The blade, like I said, was completely rusted, and same with the bolsters here. They were completely covered. You can see the pitting in the back spring there. The brass liner shined up pretty well. I don't know if these were nickel silver or if they're steel. I got a feeling they were also a stainless steel. The brass liner, once I got it all cleaned up, became functional. You can see here how the blade has been pitted and everything. Definitely a lot of pitting and everything. This was what I did was I ended up throwing this in some cold water along with some aluminum foil. The aluminum foil was used to basically it acts as a method to pull the rust away from the knife, and then also there was a lot of oiling and sanding and polishing and everything else to get the knife to where it is now, so that there's no more rust on it. There's plenty of pitting. There's a little bit of patina going on. You can even see patina on the bolsters and everything. But you can also see it's very clearly disc auger there. There it says hook remover. So now if you see them both, one says disc auger, one of them says hook remover, and that is down here. And you have the little press there for the copper. And the knife functions quite well now, and it holds a great edge. And you got most of the blade there. But there were no covers on it because I had to take those off. It locks up pretty good. And so what I thought is, I've always been thinking about taking and using just marine epoxy, and two-part epoxy, and seeing if I can make covers with it. And so this was my first attempt at doing it, and you can see I put it on way too thick, so it's really lumpy, bumpy, and everything else. What I did was I just pressed in some lines with it while it was still wet. So I just took and cut lines in there with a knife blade, random lines, hoping they give it a little bit of grip and everything. But when it was all done, I noticed just how thick I had made the handles and stuff. And I thought, yeah, well, maybe all I need to do is sand it down. That's what I was thinking. Well, I started chipping away at it. Over here you can see it because it was even higher on this side. Started chipping away at it, cutting it with a knife and everything. And I thought, well, I can just sand it down and get it smooth. And, in about 4 or 5 hours, I could probably do that. But then I started holding this in my hand, especially when the blade is open. And I thought, man, that actually kind of feels good being as thick as it is. You got a really good swell there for the palm, and it feels actually good in the hand. And it's never going to be a beauty queen anyway. Why not just leave it as it is? So I decided I'm just going to leave this as it is. And you gotta admit, it's pretty dang ugly. But it's totally functional, and it's a rescue knife. This was a $1 piece of junk, and now it's a perfectly serviceable knife that just looks like a piece of crap. So that is my truly, truly ugly knife. Everything else is just knives that I personally don't care about how they look, so I don't buy them. The Staglon, the Mora knives, black rubber handles, those are things that do not appeal to me. Poorly cut bone handles, it's something that doesn't appeal to me. But obviously other people look at a Mora knife and they see it as a thing of beauty, just like I see this as a thing of beauty, even though it's ugly. And I know a lot of people like the Staglon, and a lot of people like the saw-cut dog turd. So those are personal choices that I find ugly, but other people find really nice looking. But I think we can all agree that this knife is kind of ugly. It's got the looks that only a mother, no, not a mother would love. No, it's got a look that would gag a maggot, let's face it. Anyway, with that said, I'll let you go.
Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.